So today we're talking about HR, AI, and automation for HR, and how important it is, but specifically the tools that we can employ to make your life easier. So I have my colleague Monica and myself from Sama. Sama is a digital coaching platform that also integrates performance management. And today we have with us Hive mechanics, Marina and Pawel. Marina is a business operation strategist, and Pawel is the founder of Hive. And before Hive, he was a CEO and head of ops at various companies, including Airbnb, iCrack, Booking Kit, and more. And today, the reason we're talking about this is at Sama, we actually integrate AI within our core processes. And what we've been hearing from the industry a lot is how important AI is, and effectively across the board, people are getting executive orders, so to speak, of integrating AI. But the two main questions, which are what for and how, are still quite blurry. So today, Pawel and Marina will talk about the how and what tools to utilize to make your life easier. So good tips and tricks, very actionable. We'll take questions. So you have a Q&A box at the bottom. You can just add questions there, and I will be feeding those questions to Pawel and Marina at the end of the call. And so don't hesitate to add them right now or whenever you have questions. So they're fresh in your mind. And on this, I will pass the baton to Pawel and Marina. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Myra. It's a pleasure to be here and to host this webinar together with you. Just honestly, one sentence about us. We are essentially a collection of geeks. We are people that are very fascinated with the automations and AI, with a very long experience implementing it. We're all about the operational implementation, about speed, and we are very focused on no-code implementations, which means that implementations that are can be done very, very fast on existing tool stacks. And we are very focused on leveraging AI and taking advantage of it in the most efficient way in the areas where it actually really makes sense. So this is about us. Honestly, I want to get to the content as quickly as possible. So I think that is more than enough so that you have a little bit of context. So Marina, and also of course I wanted to mention Marina was introduced already by Myra. She'll be helping me, supporting me, especially if there'll be any hard architecture questions coming our way. So I have a little bit of a backup so that we can always answer any question that you guys throw at us. All right, I think we can essentially start with like a very quick welcome and introduction. I think what is very important to me, because there's a lot of content they can find online about AI and what you should do and cheat sheets and guides and all of that, but it's generally very hard to kind of structure that you're thinking in your head about like, okay, where should I start, right? So I think that a key thing is the focus on the practicality and on actionable use cases, right? And I think the best way to kind of start the way of thinking about AI is making sure that you're starting from what you actually need, right? A lot of people think about AI about what it can do, right? I mean, it can do all of those things. And very often it's not necessarily about the solutions that work, but the solutions that people will use, right? So it's very important to think from that perspective. There might be this one cool thing that was just released, right? That's like so amazing, but will people actually use it? Will it actually be engaging? Is it something that will actually move a business KPI for you, or move an internal KPI, or will actually help you streamline your day, make you more efficient, remove the manual, the mundane, the repetitive, the boring. And what I wanted to do in this webinar is go through a couple of ideas to inspire you, a couple of things I really believe is very interesting to think about, and also always tell you what the first implementation step could be, even if it's very simple, but like where to start exploring and where to start testing. Is this for me? Is it actually useful? Can AI actually help me? Can I actually automate this? So, why even out AI and automation in HR, right? Well, first of all, I think we all experience that is rising workloads, right? Everybody is expected to be more and more efficient every day. In the startup world, there's a lot of pressure from investors to like, be more efficient, do more, use AI, automate things. And generally, I think where this is going is that the future will be smaller teams with very, 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 very big impact. So being really prepared for that is very, very, very important. The other thing, which is equally as important, is the just better experience, right? I think providing better experience for employees, better experience for anybody who is in touch with HR teams, recruiting, learning and development teams. They just want to get more better experience, more tailored, more personalized, more empathetic, right? And I think effective learning and engagement. I think learning and engagement is words that in the HR world they're pretty much everywhere. And I think it's often very, very hard to find like the right solution, the right mix, the right way to facilitate learning and to really, really drive engagement. And for me, I think it's the key would be that it's done in a tailored way. Today's objectives, very quickly, already mentioned, to inspire, how to take the first step. And one thing that you definitely want to talk about, which for some reason a lot of people don't think about, AI is perfect to teach you about AI. All you really need is to get an access to one of the models of your choice. Like if you're a ChatGPT person, or you have Microsoft Copilot access, if you are a Grok person, a Google Flash person, or Perplexity or Claude, so many models, and they can do a more or less equally good job to teaching you about AI. Where you should start? How would I approach it? How do I do this quickly? Where should I test? Right? So AI is your friend if you want to learn about AI. All right. So let's go. Let's go to the first step, right? Before we actually start introducing AI or automations in AI in any sort of setup for smaller teams, bigger teams, in a more actually irrespective of industry and irrespective of the usual way or the focus of the teams, is that you need to start with a good base, right? I know it's kind of self-explanatory, but sometimes also it is not. You cannot, at least at this point, use AI to magically like clean up everything for you and then make everything right. You need to be a little bit prepared. So one thing that's always key is a knowledge repository, right? If you want to leverage AI, any sort of assistant fashion, in a way that will support you in your day to day, you need to be able to tell it what it's supposed to do. You need to be able to tell it what the borders are. What can AI do? What you cannot do? What is your voice? What is your tone? Right? What are the guidelines, the policies, the rules that need to be followed? Right? Where to find certain documents? Where to do everything? And the more of that documentation can be put into one repository. It doesn't have to be in one specific place, like in one tool. It can be multiple tools, but it definitely needs to be well, as robust as you can make it. Because if that's there, implementing AI is so much easier. Like it makes it so much easier to start. Second, understand your constraints, right? AI is obviously a new technology, right? It kind of came out like almost like a surprise to most of people. And 3 years ago, we kind of experienced this like total shift of everything, right? Suddenly AI became the topic in every conversation everywhere. So you need to understand what your constraints are, what you are allowed to do. In HR, we're dealing a lot with personal data. We're dealing with confidential information, right? So you need to be really try to understand like where AI could have access to and where maybe it shouldn't, because that's also going to drive what it can do for you and how deeply can it support. And obviously, it is important when trying to introducing AI in whatever you're doing. Well, not to make the security team, the IT team, the compliance team, the legal team your enemy, right? You obviously want to make sure that you're playing by the rules, and defining that early is a great idea. Second of all, analyze the opportunity. I already mentioned that. People are extremely focused on what AI can do, right? You ask, well, like, what are you doing about AI? Well, I'm trying to understand what it can do for me. It is a natural way to kind of react to new technology, but I really believe the question to be asked, what do you need? Right? What is this one or two or three or five things that can actually move business objective, internal operational objective, KPIs that are being tracked, can actually move them in the right direction, right? What would that be? If you had a magic lamp and a genie and three wishes, what that would instantly change a company, what would those be? And this is just the best way to start. Those are my needs and how AI can help me. And by the way, it's a perfect question to ask AI. I have this specific problem, and how can AI help me? And that will just this small change, and it's we're not rediscovering the wheel, that change might kind of a profound effect of which projects are you going to actually start with? What will be your approach to leveraging AI and automations? Um, and then the other thing is that, and I'm very passionate about this. Whenever you think about, oh, let's bring some new stuff, new technology, right? You're thinking, okay, let's get another SaaS tool, right? Let's get another solution. And the thing is that sometimes, well, that there's no other way and you're going to have to do it. But if there's a way you can trim down the interfaces, right? A new employee engagement tool, it might be the best tool in the world, but there's another tool that people have to go to, have to log in, have to remember to update or have to remember to do something with, right? You're adding to the admin load of their day. Is there a way we could do it like over email or over Slack or over Teams or any other interface that already exists, right? So think about bringing technology that might be there, might have an interface, but can we integrate it with stuff that's already there? And just not to stand in people's way, but to follow them as they go through their work day. All right. So I want to give a couple of examples, right? Just to try to inspire you and also give you some tips and tools to play around with. One of the topics that definitely will, is on everybody's task list or everybody's priorities list of strategies, induction or onboarding into the company. One thing that I've seen in a lot of companies, bigger and small, is onboarding guides, right? Welcome documents, welcome emails, even sometimes welcome videos, right? Those are all great, right? They give you a get of a feeling of how to start, where to look for content. But I think there's a very, very easy way to leverage existing AI apps to make it extremely personalized and also to adjust it depending on the department, on the person, on the seniority, on anything that differentiates, different groups or the different teams within your organization. There's a really nice app called Gamma. You can try it for free. Gamma.app is the URL. And what it can do, actually, Gamma created this presentation that you're looking at. So you can create presentations that are on theme in terms of colors. You can generate pictures, get stock pictures, do AI generation of content. It will arrange stuff in the way that makes sense in a very, 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 very quick way. You can also leverage templatizing. So it can create a lot of content very, very quickly. So imagine you have this one onboarding guide that's already created, right? You can literally go to ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, right? Upload that guide. There you go. We have some Gamma users. Awesome. Upload that guide and tell me, okay, so here's the person that I want to onboard. Can you please take all that information and prepare a wireframe for Gamma? It will give you the exact thing that you need to put into Gamma. You put it into Gamma and then it creates a deck. There you go. You can create like 10 or 20, right? Obviously, a lot of stuff can be automated further. You can add. There's a lot of software out there, no code things that you can explore. Just ask AI that can make it even more automatic for you, right? Like there's a new onboarding in your HR tool, new person that automatically triggers that action being performed. So there's literally magic you can do. But just to get you started, get a feel for it, just try Gamma. But remember to also use your internal documentation as much as you can share it with ChatGPT, of course. If it's super top secret and confidential, obviously trim it down to something that you can share. But you can share some basic information about the person, like just the first name and the role, and it can really do magic for you. And then other thing that you can do is if you have additional information about your employees, you can do the same for personalized manager support. Like just to support the managers, like here's your new employee joined the team. Sure, you most likely interviewed them, but here's a lot of additional information that can help you have a really hit the ground running with them and be a good manager. And also one quick advanced use case, which is that you can already mentioned there are ways to make it fully automatic. And what's important, you don't need a new tool for it, right? You can use your existing ATS, you can use your existing HR admin tool and plug it in to some of the no-code tools out there and automate the tasks, the reminders. Like AI can literally go and chase people for approvals, for fulfilling certain tasks, and you can integrate it also with other systems going forward, right? So that it can send emails, can update. I don't know, like a CRM or like a support system or anything. Create a document for you, right? So there's the use case is pretty broad. All right, let's go ahead. We have quite a lot of content, so I want to be very efficient. One thing that is like a lot of people don't really think about because it's kind of touches everyone is meeting scheduling. Right? You know how much time that he can take in your day, like especially like I'm looking at all the people that are either managing or involved in recruiting. That takes gonna a lot of your day. But even internally, like scheduling meetings with just HR checkings, right? Like happiness checkings, like team stuff. The scheduling can take a lot of time. There's a really nifty tool. There's more. I just picked that one because I kind of like the interface, which is called Skay, and it is essentially like a ready-to-go, pre-packaged AI assistant that you can talk to, like you talk to a human that can take over conversations for you. Let's say you talk to someone, oh, let's meet. Okay, perfect. Here is my assistant. Please figure out the best time. And this assistant has access to a calendar. It can actually just by normal conversation figure out what was the best time to meet. And you can also give it like specific rules when not to schedule, where to schedule. It also has smart reminders built in and also works very well with humans. It can understand dynamics, right? So for example, like a CEO and then there's an EA. It will mostly focus on the EA because EAs are typically, scheduling meetings. So it can understand some relations between people. Pretty cool thing. The idea here being is that AI in HR not necessarily has to be core about HR. It has to be about making your day more efficient so that you as a human can focus on stuff that is most important. Right. So I wanted to give you an example. Like, don't just think about it like core HR stuff, just, employee files, engagement, learning, and development, all that. It's all very important, but also think about your day, right? Like, what are the manual, repetitive things you do every day? Can I get rid of them? Is there something that can help me, right? And it's just a perfect example of those one thing that will maybe save you 10 minutes, 50 minutes every day, but that's every day, right? So just multiply it by all days, and suddenly you have like a 2 or 3 weeks of your time get given back to you each year. All right, let's go to the next use case. So there's something I think is very easy for everybody to try out. I called it HR Copilot, just so I hope it's at least somewhat as self-explanatory. A lot of companies and a lot of teams there's always like a lot of HR policies, vacation, PTO policy, everything that's connected with just basically running an HR team. There's so much, right? There's also a lot of guidelines, a lot of documents of like best practices, right? So it's easy to get lost with that, especially if you're new in the team. But even if you've been in the team for a very long time, right? There's always new stuff. There's always changes, right? How to make it easy, right? Like, okay, so what is actually our vacation policy for external employees in this country? I don't remember. I need to look it up. Where do we have it? I guess in Notion. No, it was something else. I think it's in Google Drive. Yeah, but that's the old version. Where's the new version? Right? That happens quite a lot. So one way that you can try to go about it is even ChatGPT.com enables you to create custom GPTs, same as Microsoft Copilot Studio and other LLMs also allow you to do that. So you can create your own GPT, right? And I think a lot of people might be yesterday's news, but this is the best way to check how would that technology really work. So you can upload a lot of your documentation, a lot of different things and policies and things like that. So you can have like a buddy that's 24/7 that can answer any question. So what was this policy? Oh yes, the policy according to the newest document is this and this and this, right? And you can also answer, oh yeah, please, switch it to an email so that you can send it to someone. And then you going into more advanced usage is that this can also be automated because remember, all GPTs have APIs. Those APIs can be easily integrated with visual no-code tools. Another question you should ask AI: what's the easiest visual no-code tool I can use myself? right? There's quite a few. I didn't want to mention too many of them because that might make your head spin. But talk to AI, ask the question. There's so many of those tools when you can leverage very easily your AI models and give it live access to certain areas. Of course, if that's allowed, right? Give it live access to a Google Drive folder or a SharePoint folder. Give it access to a Notion page, a Confluence page, anything like that. So it can learn as content changes. So it can answer your question in in a very accurate way. And the interface for that, let's start with email. We don't need another tool or any like chatbot, anything like that. Why? Just an email is fine. And you can integrate it with email very easily.
And
There are already,
Pawel,
yeah.
I think what's also great is that you can make this available to other people within the company,
Correct.
which takes away all the questions asked directly to you and your team, which are, very often are a couple of hours per week
Yeah.
to go through these. And these are things that are readily available to people, and it answers it in a very efficient.
Or you can fork it. You can have one internal one and one external one, right? Certain things might be internal to HR team, and they're very important. You maybe don't want to share them, and you might know the one that only accesses the stuff that it's for everyone, right? So all the policies that are public and or public or essentially public within the company. I mean public, right? Anyway, so the tools to try is super simple. ChatGPT and Copilot. Just you can do it within that interface already, right? And if you cannot find it, just ask GPT. How can I do custom GPTs? Um, yeah, we have a hand raised. So Monica, should we pause quickly?
I suggest that we take the questions at the end.
Okay.
You, Karen, for your question, write it down so you don't forget.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And so that's like just a really good point to start, right? There's so much more that you can do. That there's also prepackaged solutions out there. For me, it's important that you know that this is very easy. So somebody tells you that it's hard, it is not. It is easy, and you can figure it out yourself very quickly. All right, let's move on to the and if somebody wants to know more, just ask a question. I'll be happy to talk about it in the Q&A some more. Creating a safe and engaged environment. So I think very often when we do pulse surveys, when we do a lot of like trying to get feedback from our teams on like how's it going, how is your manager, if those are not anonymous, right? It might not always be super genuine, right? There might be very often cases that are a little bit harder to solve, right? There might be things that it would be hard to uncover, right? Especially if they're serious. I mean, I never wish it to anyone, but there might be a serious problem in any organization, right? So solving especially more serious, I don't know, conflicts between employees, right? Solving them in a very balanced fashion, right? In a very correct way, using the correct language is very important. There are platforms out there like All Voices, which are basically designed to help you with, well, not only creating a safe environment, but tackling any incident, conflict, any sort of request, getting feedback in an anonymous and also in a very, I would say, adequate and personalized way. And obviously, this tool leverages AI that's already like pre-prompted and pre-molded for that use case. So it can guide you through like how do you respond to that incident, right? How would I handle like a conflict between two very senior employees, right? I'm kind of in the middle of it. How do I handle that, right? How do I handle an incident between this and that person? How do I solve like I don't know productivity challenges? It can really help you guide to the process. It's based on like based on single cases. And then in also like it can work on the entire data that you have as well, giving you insights into overall like situation in the in the company, how to solve it, how to approach it more like globally. All right, what's next? The next is AI-driven training content. It's actually very similar to the case we already discussed, but there's a couple of things a couple of tools I wanted to point your attention to. So very often training is let's say it's not so easy to solve in a sense that if we have, for example, like an engineering team, right? Okay, so is HR gonna tell us how to be better engineers now, right? I seen a lot of pushback. I seen a lot of cases where learning and development, especially in certain teams, is challenging, right? So there's a couple of things. You can also use it also for like internal policies and like trainings and the compliance stuff, right? You can very easily, even if you just have the bullet points content for that training, you can use again your ChatGPTs, your LLMs, to create a script, like a very, I don't know, 2, 3 minutes, almost bite-sized script. Then you can feed it, for example, to Gamma to get like nice slides, and then you use a tool called HeyGen, where it can, based on a short video of yourself, you can create an avatar of yourself, and basically follow the script and create a video like this, right? That would be hyper tailored to one use case. It might be a video that just like for one specific purpose, and after that, it will not be useful. You can do it very quickly. Myra, see you want to add something to that?
Yes, this is extremely powerful because effectively a lot of the knowledge is within the organization, and it would be ideal if the managing director of X could provide obviously time and energy to record videos, but now you can actually have the avatar of that managing director do a presentation that you actually guide the content of, with their approval, of course, but that allows you to create internal trainings and tools that are very much tailored to your specific context, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and then this type of this type of arrangement. Remember, we just talked about custom GPTs. You can tell custom GPT all about your company. So every time you chat with it, it has all the context, understands who is talking to me, right? Okay, so I know what company that is, what the policies are, what the guidelines are. Yeah, it gets all the context, and with that context, you can give it learning and development content to help you prepare, and then using tools like HeyGen or Gamma to instantly turn it into something into a nice video that is in the right colors, that looks good, and also spares you the talking. You can essentially, with HeyGen, you can not only talk you can generate yourself talking of different topics and cut it out. You can also make yourself talking in another language if you have multiple teams, especially if you don't speak the language. You can, I made myself talk in Chinese, which is very fun. I don't speak a word Chinese, or maybe one, but you can make yourself literally speak another language, which is I think really good, because you can also make the content for multi language or international teams. And then last very quick thing, there's obviously always an advanced implementation, right? So you can technically automate some of that, right? You can create scheduled calendars, plug those to AI, and AI will periodically get you multiple versions of the same contents. Like, hey, so I see that we scheduled to talk about this topic right now. Here's a couple of takes that you should consider, and it can deliver you ready to go materials, videos, audio, slides, whatever you need. So that we discussed can be automated. Your first step is like, go and try it yourself. That already will help you. That already will help your efficiency. But if you like it and you really need a lot of it, then it's a perfect step to try to also fully automate it. All right, what's next? I wanted to also talk a little bit about slightly more advanced things, right? Definitely employee retention management and churn prediction is always a big topic, right? Everybody wants to retain the top talent. Everybody wants to make sure that people are not leaving, specifically if they're for reasons that they're not unhappy, for preventable reasons, right? So where AI can really help you, and leveraging the data that you might already have. If you have any of the modern HR SaaS tools, right, out there, it most likely has an API. If it has an API, you can connect it fully visually, fully no-code fashion into an AI model, and that AI model can use a lot of that data, right? You can also provide it in different formats through exports and things like that, but it can already help you in some basic or advanced, if you want to, predictive churn modeling, right? What analyzing the data going backwards is like, which teams have the let's say the biggest challenges, where the churn was historically, and try to extrapolate that in the future. What can you expect? You can also even ask it for like a restaffing plan, right? So there's quite a lot of insights it can give you, being able to kind of digest superhuman amount of information. You can also do it manually, of course, but it will take you quite a lot of time. And AI can do it much faster. I think the other thing is real-time engagement monitoring, right? So I already mentioned pulse surveys. They can be automated. Somebody say, well, Pawel, that's yesterday's news. I mean, I could automate pulse surveys like 10 years ago. Sure. But were they hyper tailored, like very different to every person that you reach out to without you doing anything? I don't think so, right? Maybe some basic personalization, fine. But but AI can not only take who the person is, understanding who is talking to, but also can understand previous interactions, previous scores, right? All the employee history. So it can really do hyper personalized content and reach out to people for engagement monitoring in a way that would maybe not feel obtrusive, and also feel like, oh wow, okay, this is, last time I responded this, and now somebody's listening, right? Somebody's actually engaging. So I think this is quite important, and can get you to like much better data from your teams much faster. And obviously targeted retention nudges, right? If we have a little bit of predictive modeling, well, we should do something about that, right? You can start with simple things like nudging people to have a conversation, nudging people to provide more feedback, give them materials, give them tools to basically improve their experience in the company. I'm sorry I'm sticking to such a high level terms here, but we have a limited time, and also I want to make sure that I give you like the broadest kind of approach to it. All right, so that's our first advanced case. The second one is the candidate research assistant. I also wanted to give some love to recruiting. So one thing that a lot of people don't really realize, it is very easy, even without any automation. You can make it like a fully automated thing, but even without any automation, to research um, uh, uh, individuals, obviously based on public information, right? But also research companies they work for, right? Give you a lot of context ahead of an interview, ahead of an interaction, ahead of a reference check as well. So this could be fully automated. So imagine an hour before a call with a candidate or with a reference check, AI sends you an email or a Slack message, Teams message, saying, okay, so you're about to meet with Myra. Myra is the founder Osama. She worked for those companies. So her role was like this. She focused on those certain things, and it can tell you. So most likely her strengths are this. Her weaknesses might be that. And here's 5 questions to ask her to really get like really effective interview. And that can happen fully automatically. You can also do it manually. I mean, ChatGPT deep research function, very easy to find, right on the top, right on the bottom where the text is inputted. You can also give yourself a taste of that, right? So it can really take a lot of research the time from your day, and make you really feel like, make your candidates feel like, wow, this person's actually really prepared, right? And it's not cheating. We're not cheating anything. It's just all the research is not being done by you, but by automation. And even if you have back-to-back meetings, you have like a bite-sized briefing, and you can say, okay, I know kind of what kind of situation I'm going in. If you're stuck, like, what's the next question to ask? Here it is. It will help you like with some suggestions. And obviously a lot of data enrichment. We can get a lot of supportive information about, if they received an award and didn't mention in the CV, maybe it is actually quite relevant that they were awarded. They were like, I don't know, employee of the year for 5 years straight, and for some reason they didn't put that in the CV. We will find that. You'll be able to find that information as well. So we'll give you a lot of context on people. Again, on public information. Confidentiality is obviously very important. I think the most powerful thing is just it's fine, Marina, we can progress. The most important thing is that stuff that really supports you into getting into a call, even if if you're talking to a lot of people, with a lot of research, and just making them feel that, okay, well, this person's actually treating me seriously. This person's actually prepared. This person actually really asked question. Oh, wow, that's a great question to ask, right? How do they know? So this, I think, is very powerful. And then I think that's the last one, if I'm not mistaken, automated interview feedback capture. Whoa, boy, right? capturing interview feedback, right? There's always this one person that just never does it, right? Does all the interviews and all that, never provides feedback, right? Chasing, how much time does that take, right? And the chasing and escalation to a manager and all of that, right? Just, you know, everyday pains and struggles of the recruiting department. There there can be that can be actually really easily automated, again based on the current ATS, based on your current HR system, where you have AI essentially chasing people, right? It understands where the individual plays either from the calendar or from the tool itself, and then basically you make AI send the feedback form, which also might be tailored to a specific person, not always looking the same. It might be a very tailored feedback form, right? It will send it to that person and just wait for it to be filled out. If it's not filled out in, you know, whatever your SLA is for feedback, it will start sending reminders. And if that's not the case, I had one implementation where a bot would actually call people on the phone, or send them text messages like, "Hey, we really need that feedback." And sure, it might get annoying, but it only gets annoying if you don't provide it. So I think it's a very good motivational tool. Obviously, there's a couple of other things you can put on top of it. There might be a conversational feedback interface. There was one implementation that I remember where there was just like a bot on Slack that would ask you questions. How was the interview, right? Okay, what do you think are the strengths? What do you think that were the weaknesses? Oh, you mentioned this. This is like, you know, this person like is really strong in that skill or something. Provide a bit more information. Give us a bit more insight. So it actually be almost like a conversational interface rather than a form. All right. If I'm not mistaken, in terms of use cases, that's it. I don't know, Marina, is it just for me, or I think the slide didn't load properly? Oh, it might be my internet. Oh boy. I think I'm back. I
Everything's
think I'm
fine.
back. All right, I think I'm back. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay,
There was
perfect.
no issue, just took a second to load. Everything is fine.
Okay, perfect. And because for a moment everything froze, and I kind of panic mode, you know, my like double secure internet as this, you know, like IT professional, like, oh my God, that is embarrassing. This guy's talking about us like technology, and then, you know, his internet froze. All right, so recommended pilot steps. The most important thing is like start playing around with tools. See what's possible, see if you like it, see if it's useful. Once you determine that it's useful, actually, oh, I love what that is producing. I would love to have that fully automated. I would love to have that as part of my process. Map that process. Make sure that you know it. If you already have it mapped, perfect. If you don't, map it. You don't have to do a full outblown Miro board for it, right? It can be as simple as bullet points, but have that process mapped and documented. Why? Because when you will be, even if you decide to build something like this yourself, which by the way, in many cases you can absolutely do using modern tools, this will really help you. And if you decide to engage an external partner, a freelancer, maybe somebody in the engineering team has really good experience with no-code tools or can do it very well for you. Maybe there's somebody within the team that's like super tech savvy, right? This will really help them to kick off that process. Start with a small prototype. Do not go for like all-in big implementations, tools, and just honestly dump it on your systems and your teams, because that is going to create a lot of headaches. Start small, right? Especially if you're training AI, if you're providing it information, start small, fine tune. Is that the right tone? Is it the right voice? Is it too long? Is it too short? Right? Is it on brand, off brand? Make sure that you start with something that you can completely control. So maybe just internally initially, right? And then only if you're absolutely sure, then go in the broader teams. Iterate and expand. I know, guys, that those might be very obvious, but a lot of people like jump on new technologies, start implementing them everywhere, and then start kind of reverse engineer how to make sense of it. Iteration and expansion, right? So iterate. Okay, I have that. It's kind of working. Can I plug it to something else? Can I integrate it with something, right? Can I make it even easier? What would be the interface that I would interact with that tool? Ask yourself all that questions and iterate, even if it's something very simple. And obviously then expand and, well, track metrics. I know it's obvious, but before you engage in something, what is the metric that you're trying to move, right? What specifically, right? It might be a really cool technology, but great, what is actually moving? And then is it moving it, right? So even if you get yourself this new shiny AI assistant for meeting scheduling, how much time is actually saving you, right? If you ended up using that once a week, not much. right? So either look for a different solution or looks elsewhere. But if you do it in a small prototype, you do it one to two people, you're spending too much money, you're not investing too much time, and you can gain confidence like this is for me, this is not for me. All right, what's next? If I remember correctly, the next slide was yes. So common challenges and pitfalls. Obviously, AI is a topic where everybody kind of feels, all right, I'm going to be replaced. Am I gonna be replaced, right? Is it gonna, take my job? A lot of people have that fear, and the fear is justified. Like listening to podcasts, looking at posts online, reading newspapers and news and all that. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that kind of almost fear mongering, right? Like who AI is gonna replace. The most important message is that AI in current capacity is great for enhancement, not for replacement, right? So how can you give yourself superpower, be able to process superhuman amount of information, do research automatically, automate basic processes, automate document creation, data extraction out of documents, all of those things to make your day more efficient, to free up your time so that you can be a better HR manager, a better recruiter, a better learning and development manager, right? And spend more time with people, spend more time engaging, spend more time creatively thinking. Obviously, there's always security concerns. I mentioned that. Make sure that the data that you introduce into AI you are allowed to do that. There's different modes. ChatGPT.com usually uses the data to train the models, right? If you do it over the API, unless you actually, there are ways to prevent that, but if you use the API, that doesn't happen, right? So it actually makes it even easier to do automated solutions. Make sure that you know that you have that, like what is shareable, what is not shareable, that you manage the stakeholders, involve people from the start, right? If you have this your early test and you think, oh, that would be great, right? Like it'd be great to roll out to everyone. Get a small group, test it with them. Let them provide feedback, both on the top management as also as much as as your single contributors in teams. Yeah, AI helps you avoid one size fits all. I'm a big opponent of one size fits all. That's not the future. That's not where this is going. Big, huge tools that can do everything for you, out of my experience, do everything for you well. But I think right now, well is kind of not good enough anymore. Data quality, kind of started with that. Clean data, essential for success. And not clean is like everything needs to be neatly packed because AI can deal with unstructured and messy data, but at least there cannot be any contradictions. There cannot be gaps, right? So we have the data for 80% of our employees. Well, might not be good enough. It kind of has to be 100%. Right? So not about the formatting and the way it looks. It's about what data is available. And then communication gaps, right? All benefits needs to be clearly explained. So that means why are we introducing AI? Oh, because we want to close that specific gap, because we want to introduce efficiency here, because we are maybe not doing so well on this KPI. This will help us, right? So be very open with your communication. All right, and I think I wanted to very quickly, briefly, I'm kind of over time, so I'm going to do it very quick. Talk about the future of AI in HR. Some of that you kind of already sounds familiar to you. Hyper personalization, right? So scalable but customizable employee experience, right? And I just realized it says customized employee experience at scale. There you go, AI hiccup right there for you. Same thing. And then so proactive support, right? So anticipation of what you may need and provide timely assistance, right? So I think we are going from like AI helps me to do a few tasks to AI will predict what I might need even without me interacting with it, and it will start proactively helping me with that, right? Another thing is market analytics, and I don't mean your teams, I mean overall, right? How can AI help you to get a view of like what the current trends, what are the go-to things? What are what are the modern rules for managing an HR team? What are the modern rules of running an HR team, right? The interactions between teams, employees, and the HR team. All that, it's not an internal exercise. It's an external and internal exercise. You need to know what's out there, and you need to know that not once a year. You need to do it pretty much every week, right? Just so you can interact with your employees in the correct way. Never be surprised by a trend, right? That even the trend that's developing. Conversational documents, right? So we touched a little bit upon that, right? Like where you can get yourself an assistant that can tell you what the policy is. In the future, it's much more conversational documents. So policies that are live and they're co-authored by humans and AI, right? And those are the documents you can kind of talk to, right? So you're not only getting what the policy is, for example, but how it should be interpreted. Like a lot of this, the kind of the things that are not written down can be you can get can be essentially made into a conversation. And multimodal integration, right? So AI supports already video calls. I mean, you can do with AI, can like call someone and have an interaction with them. ChatGPT 4.5 3 weeks ago defeated defeated the Turing test, which essentially which essentially, it can mimic a human, right? So we are at the point where you can actually really get an AI call someone, and this person would most likely not realize he's talking to a machine, right? But what that means is that you can leverage those technologies in pretty much any field that you do. I'm not saying should start video chatting people, but maybe we should. But it will be a revolutionary technology for meetings, for interactions, and for collaboration. And that's it. We have like kind of 10 minutes for questions. So I'll try to be very 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 quick, but very concise, and give the best perspective possible with your questions. So yeah.
Thank you
Let's
so
go ahead.
much. Thank you so much, Pawel, Marina. Okay, so we have a first question. What tool, oh, it disappeared. Sorry. Oh no. What tool do you recommend for retention management? Is there a no-code, low-code solution available?
Yeah, so in terms of retention management, there are a couple of tools out there, but I think it already depends what you already have in place, right? Because I would actually start before we go into a tool, right? What is your current process for retention, right? Because if it's, I don't know, just per surveys and like some feedback reviews and all that, you can automate that already, a lot of that with your existing platform that you have for HR. You essentially have to introduce a new one, right? And, and a lot of that can be done with, actually, I would not even say low code, I would say no code, completely no code visual tools. To give you an example of those tools, make.com, zapier.com, you can actually really play around with those. They're free to test, completely free. So you can see, hey, is my system integrating with that? It is. If it is integrating, it's fully visual. It's fully visual. If this happens, then this happens. So maybe you can start with that, right? Before you go into any specific tool. And I'm trying to kind of almost dodging making a recommendation for this because there's so many tools out there. Some of them are like a suite type of tool. Some of them are like the new players on the block that only do that. But like I really, really want to drive the message home before you introduce a new tool. Is there a way to do it based on existing stuff that you already have? Without another place you have to log into or make your employees log into, or okay, make is the wrong word, ask your employees to log into. I hope I hope that answers your question, but I think that's the correct way to think about that.
Thank you. So we have a couple of questions here. When we think about developing managers, are there recommendations for training up or hard conversation, giving feedback, etc., that you recommend?
So here's the thing. What I would do, right? Obviously, I led HR teams in the past, but I never worked as an HR person. So I'm having a little bit of a almost like from the manager perspective, not from the HR perspective. What I would do is, yes, a lot of managers were promoted because they have great skill, but they might be really meaning the best and really, really trying to manage the people in the best way possible, but they might not be equipped either by lack of experience, right? Or just lack of focus on that particular topic towards their career. And non-fault, it's not their fault. It's just like how their career progressed. So giving them the right tools is very, very essential. And I think where AI can help you is that there's so many resources out there. And also AI already has a lot of pre-trained data. In this training data, commercial models have a lot already in there. So what you can do is there's a couple of content online, which you can, by the way, also look for with AI, very meta, right? Look for content that you believe is good, guidelines, best practices, put them all together and use AI to create your own like ultimate guide, right? Like really, really, really good advice. Let's say top 7 points. And then what you do, you make it personal, right? So we're still talking ChatGPT.com. We're not talking any sort of automation, anything like that. You can then, so this is the guideline for Pawel. So this is like Pawel's more or less history. This is what he does at the company. Like personalize that for him. And in that way, you can really have something that's ready to go. And if that's your fancy, create a video out of it, or a slide deck, or I don't know, like literally like a voice message if that works. And send it over WhatsApp, right? So that would be my go-to way to do that. Let's just let AI work for you, right? Get you like some ideas that you might not really think about, even if you have a very, very long experience in HR, right? There might be something out there that might not be obvious to you. So make AI work for you there and create something, first of all, something that is like you agree on, right? Those like top 7, top 10 points or sections that you know, okay, this is great. I like that. This is effective, right? And then start personalizing that. And that would be my advice here.
And that's a really great way of making it much more authentic and something that is specific to you. Otherwise, there are tools out there where you can practice having hard conversation or giving feedback, such as Udly AI, for instance.
Yeah, definitely that. But also, you can create a custom GPT and ask it like, please act like a really, really like hard to manage employee, right? Like really deny, like as hard as you can make it, right? And you can basically say, please act according to a scale. 1 being the easiest employee ever, 10 being like the almost impossible to manage. And then you can basically start create like with that custom GPT, you can create this kind of sessions when managers can really role play and they can change the setting. Okay, be like 3 out of 10 in terms of being hard to manage, right? Let's start with that. Let's start easy and then progress to like really, really, really hard things. And then ChatGPT can analyze your performance of that conversation and give you pointers, right? Hey, maybe you should consider that. You should consider that, right? And the role of HR here is to prompt and train that bot. Again, we're just talking ChatGPT.com custom interfaces, super visual, just a couple of setting fields. That's it. To make that bot train on the right stuff. ChatGPT already will be. And by the way, I'm defaulting ChatGPT. Many other models can do that, but it will already give you good advice. I mean, those are pretty smart, right? They have quite a lot of knowledge, but you want to make it also very tailored to your company, to the way that you do things, right? Maybe there's a very particular way that you how you operate your business, so that influences relationship between managers and employees, right? So that needs to be reflected, and that will make that experience so much more meaningful. Because people will be like, oh wow, that actually sounds like something I encountered in real life.
Thank you. Another question is, for an HR team that has not utilized AI in any formal or consistent way, what would you recommend as a starting point to try and demonstrate time saving while maintaining quality?
It's a great question. It's also quite broad one, right? I would say it like it's very so Elizabeth. That is hard. That is hard. You threw me a curveball because it all really depends on like it's not like every HR team does exactly the same things, right? And if the team is bigger, that would change my answer. If the team is smaller, that will also change my answer. I think first of all, well, get yourself access to some proper AI, right? Like either ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or if you have Microsoft Copilot, if you're a Microsoft shop, right? Get yourself access to that so you can start interacting with it. That's the first. Get comfortable, right, with that technology, and I think then start experimenting with it, and just so you get comfortable, right? That's obviously the first. If you never really utilize it properly, right? I think that would be my first starting point. And uh, then the second exercise is sit down with your team and analyze what is the top 1, top 2, top 3 things that is most manual, repetitive, but also boring. Do not underestimate the boring, right? It might be very important, but it might be extremely boring for your team, right? Which may lead to people getting demotivated, people like being like, oh my God, an entire day of doing this, right? Crazy. So identify those topics, and those are literally the topics you should start with. I'm sorry, it's a very generic answer. I apologize, but that's literally the way to do it. Start with something, because I can tell you, oh, you should absolutely, you know what, you should absolutely start with document creation, right? You should get your contracts under control and get like something automation to generate contracts. But maybe you only hire 5 people each month or even each year, right? That's not gonna solve much for you. So the core is what you need, right? And not necessarily what AI can do best for you, right? I hope that makes sense.
No, thank you, Pawel. Another question is there a way to anonymize data while that goes into the system while having an effective results.
Yes, so there are ways to do that. So sometimes anonymization is just like removing information, right? So let's say if you have even like a table in like an employee file, right, that holds a lot of like feedback from managers, right? The moment that you remove all the information, unless of course in the content itself there are like specific names and surnames and things like that, right? That is that is slightly more challenging. You can obviously also use AI to anonymize, right? But you need to make sure that that is okay for your, let's say, for your legal team to do, right? So AI can definitely help you with anonymization. Very often, it's just removing the name and all the other data like that. Another way what you can do, you can also talk to your engineering. If you have an engineering team, if you have a tech team, they might be able to take some of the data that you have in a database and within internal systems, they are those are developer tools, right? So you need tech support that they can help you anonymize it. Some tools do already anonymize the data on its own, right? There's a couple. I'm not going to drop any names because everybody has like a very strong opinion about which HR software is good. There's a couple of them that I know that can already anonymize data for you. So yes, absolutely, there are ways to do that. You just need to make sure like what to which extent you can leverage AI to do this, right? And if you cannot, then check if your system can do it, and if that's not the case, you can get some external support. What you can also do, like I'm just trying to think like of the easiest thing which you can do today. Maybe you can export the data to just even Excel or Google Sheets, right? And there are certain things, by the way, ChatGPT will tell you how. There's certain things like formulas or even very simple script that you can write and run on that sheet that will scramble and anonymize the data. So you can get yourself like just by getting the data into an external platform, if your HR platform is not super helpful, can help you with that problem.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're coming to the end of the presentation. We're taking note of the other question. If you have other question, please scan this barcode, and I'll leave it to Monica and Pawel to give the last words. So thank you again for joining, and thank you, Pawel and Marina.
Absolutely, was a pleasure. I really, in 1 hour, it's technically a long time, but also not such a long time to try to touch on so many different topics. Under this link that will lead you back to the LinkedIn event page, you will find our contact information. If you want to talk to us a little more, we'll be very happy to do that. I'm happy to provide more more focused advice. If you want to, I'll be happy to make myself available and Marina's time also available for you guys. Yeah, Monica?
That is all. Everybody is going to be getting a follow-up email with further information, with the slides and with the recording of the webinar by the end of the day today. So everything will be in your inbox.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
All right, have fun, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna pause the recording.